How's everyone doing? It's G. This week, this week, we are looking at March 18th, the week of March 18th. There's some interesting things connected to, remember that great cross I've been talking about, the Cardinal Great Square? Remember, I've been pointing it out in the last couple of videos. It's been the behind-the-scenes story. Well, anytime new planets go into a cardinal sign and get near that 14-degree mark, right, it then adds to the energy of the square that was already present. Yeah. So seeing that red square, the difference now is we have some planets that are reaching the matching degree. So we have something in Aries that comes to like 13, 14, 15 degrees, something in Cancer, 13, 14, 15 degrees. All while we know the North Node and the South Node are in Aries and Libra at the 15-degree mark, going backwards. And we got Capricorn. We got Vega and Capricorn over here at 15. Right. Vega. So that's what makes this strong, fixed square that has been shaping and molding this energy for all of just about all of February, and so far, third week of March. It's still a factor. So it's that stress and that tension with businesses, corporations, likely the government, all that craziness of, can we get along? Can we strike up a deal? And no, we're not going to strike a deal. We're not going to budge and that thing. But all the air energy that we had may have created the ability for, especially because we did have Venus in Aquarius. But if you watched last week's video, you know that this week started off Venus entering into Pisces. So she's no longer into Aquarius, but now she's in Pisces. So what will this do, right? We're going to go ahead and take a deeper dive. But before we go there, if you don't have your chart, make sure that you comment to me so you can get your chart. I have people who comment and say, hey, I emailed you. I don't have my chart. You never responded to me. I need a full birth date, which would include the time and the location of your birth. That's just the way it goes. That's the only way to get your chart drawn up. Other than that, there's going to be an eclipse that happens. So I will make sure that I make a mention at the end of the video. This is March 18th, and we cover 7 days. We go from March 18th, add 7 to that. So that would be to the 25th, which is why I mentioned the eclipse. Yes, so there will be an eclipse. And it's going to happen in the sign of Libra. And I have it written out right there. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is. All right. So we'll get to it. Before we get there, we got to start back up to the beginning of the week. And so here we go. Beginning of the week, we are talking March 18th to the 19th. This week starts off kind of hot because we've got Aries energy being triggered. Mercury is in Aries, and Mercury, when we think Mercury, we think news, we think social media, we think thinking and talking, right? Sharing information, we think learning, we think short trips and journeys, transportation, maybe even automobiles. Mercury is, I am the scribe, I'm the reporter, I want to talk about things, but see, it's in Aries. Aries is about action, right? Yeah, because Mars rules Aries. So it's like the things I'm thinking about, I might be a little impulsive and I might just take action. Okay? But there's some beneficial news with all of this. Here's the thing. If you have been planning something, right? Then this is a good time to initiate and to start with your Aries energy, because it's Mercury in Aries. And yes, there is a square. So it's a new beginning, but it's not without stress and tension. Okay. It's not without the stress and the tension, because Mercury in Aries is now getting close. You see Mercury? This Mercury is at 15 degrees. So it is conjunct the North Node, which is the future, It's a new beginning. I'm starting something. Yep. North Node. It's about your future, your physical body, your body autonomy, the actions of my body, the rights of my body, my right to exist. So we think of all the different pain and suffering that people go through because Chiron's part of this. It's at 18. We already had a big conjunction between Chiron and the North Node, right? Right. The North Node moves backwards, but it does hang around these 15 degrees for a long time. This is a spot in the chart where the nodes kind of linger. It goes back to 14, then it goes forward again. So it lingers around the 14, 15, 16 degree mark. And it's all about, we think of what sort of suffering, what sort of emotional wounds do we have about our appearance. So this could be gender. This could be color of my skin. This could be your ancestry. Even when we think of culture, we go back in time and we think of our history, because all Aries energy squares up to Cancer energy, the moon, family, history, ancestry, the motherland, right? And this Mercury conjunct the North Node right at the beginning of this week. If we go and look at what's in Cancer, you see that? I got some lines drawn that are a little, oh, that's my arrow going a little crazy. We'll just move it. But here's the Cancer energy. Look. We see right off top, Sirius, Sirius is at 1424. So Mercury squaring Sirius. And it just so happens this day at this time, we've got the moon at 1444. 1424, 1444. So a moon is more emotions. The moon rules the sign of Cancer. There might be something with the public, but the moon and Cancer energy can also be family, your family, and then your bigger family, which is the public. It's humanity. It's also the sticks and the bricks, like literally the house I grew up in as a child, the house I want as an adult, right? So we think of home and nurturing and feelings and what we need for our emotional security, Cancer energy, emotional stability, Cancer energy. Okay. And so we're going to go back down. Well, actually, let's back up. Let's back up so we can see that. You see? So there it is. There's Mercury and the North Node. The North Node was already in this square with Sirius. You see the big square, right? I've been talking about this for weeks. I've been putting it on the chart so you guys could see it. It's been the backstory of my long-term goals and ambitions, my material and tangible security, right? Capricorn energy, my career, my job, my work, corporations, big business, and big government. It's just been in this big T-square. Business partnerships, the South Node being there, meaning there's a release and a let go of some of those business partnerships. There's something that's outdated and that needs to be released. We'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the eclipse, okay? But it's partnerships. And so that can be personal and professional. And then Cancer energy and the housing situation everywhere, regardless of where you live. I don't know, wherever you're watching from, where you live, how is the housing market where you guys live? And I don't mean just the market. I mean, is there affordable housing? Are you guys, do you have multiple, you got lots of people living back home again with mom and dad because they can't afford to live on their own? Do you have that going on? Because it's prevalent here in the States, right? I mentioned in one of the other videos, there's 3 adults here in this household. It's what you got to do to make ends meet. The lack of housing, the lack of affordable housing, the lack of inventory in housing is hopefully going to be this conversation that I keep bringing up. Because when you have a lot of stuff in Pisces, it almost looks like, especially because the sun is here, rounding up to 29 degrees, a critical degree, hopefully there will be something, especially now that Mercury is talking about it. You see, it's the news. It's like this should be discussed a little bit more, even if it's not necessarily a solution. It's let's begin the conversation of a solution instead of everybody screaming at each other about what the problems are. Maybe there can be a solution because it's about the future, the North Node. So that is how the week kicks off with Mercury joining the big cardinal Grand Cross. At the same time, Mars is actually in a opposition with Leo energy. We got Mars in Aquarius. Yeah. You got Mars in Aquarius, and Leo energy gets activated. And then we also have part of Fortune active. Or I'm sorry, this is Fortuna. It's the word fortune, Tuna. There's a Tuna at the end of it. It's like the feminine version of fortune, Fortuna. And basically what that means, it's the highs and the lows and the ebb and flows of your fortune. Right. Interesting, because this Mars here in Aquarius is near the critical degree. So you got Mars in a tight opposition with Regulus energy. And some folks, look in your chart, do you have anything at 26, 27, 28? Let's go and find where this fortune energy is. Okay, so it's Mars and Fortuna traveling together here. So that Mars and Fortuna are going to follow together 26, 27, 28 degrees, which means they are in this tight opposition with the Regulus energy. We got Regulus in Virgo, but that's relatively new. That's 10 years old. So in your birth chart, if you're, older than 10 years old, your Regulus is going to be either at, depending upon when you were born, 29 degrees, 28, 27, 26, right? I think my Regulus is 26 something in my chart, right? So that Mars and the Fortune together can be positive and it can be negative, but it is a swing. It's like a report card where your fortune can all of a sudden, it's an ebb and flow of your fortune. One minute you have it, one minute you don't. So it can be a very beneficial time for some, and for others, not so beneficial, because for many, Mars can be the greater malefic in their chart. Right. I know it's complicated, but there can be a swing in fortunes. How about that? Then we go to the 20th. We go to the 20th, Mercury comes up again. We got Mercury moving along. We saw that kind of already. Mercury was at 15. We saw Chiron at 18. 20th, here's Mercury right on the wounds. The wounds, the appearance, our freedom is a big deal. Mercury is the news. So we're going to be hearing about, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be having conversations about it. This Chiron's at 18. Mercury and Chiron conjunct at 18 degrees. What I do like about that is that if Mercury's now at 18, which she is, it's no longer squaring. It's no longer part of that cardinal great cross that we have here, this great square. Mercury's now at 18 along with Chiron. So there should be some ease for anybody who was feeling some really uncomfortable energy and a lot of stress and tension. There should be some ease here. So now we go to the 21st. Here we have some interesting stuff setting up. It's the 21st. We got Venus conjunct Saturn. They're in Pisces. Venus conjunct Saturn in dreamy, I just want to escape, Calgon, take me away, Pisces. So it's fantasy, it's music, it's sound, it's theater, it's movies, it's Hollywood. Venus is your desires. So this is what she's desiring. Here's the thing. When she touches on Saturn, Saturn is the one who can say, here, take some coffee. Let's get some food in you. It's time to sober you up. So that happens, right? It'll happen. And you should expect to feel maybe the rose-colored glasses on your desires, what you want and desire being taken off, or maybe even a disruption in sleep, possibly. Because Venus in Pisces, she may want to sleep. She may feel lazy even. So this might be beneficial. Venus is kind of got a relationship with Saturn where Saturn would be like the father figure, like the dad that says, hey, these are the rules. This is what you need to do. I pay the bills. Like, do this, go to school, follow the rules in the household type of thing. So this Venus in Pisces would easily follow along with the rules of Saturn. Venus would easily take the orders of Saturn because they're both in Pisces. They both understand each other. They're speaking the same language. And Venus is kind of normally like the daughter of Saturn anyway. She's going to be like, you're the boss. I understand. Enough said. So that's like around the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. They're together. So here's the other thing. I have written down 12 degrees of Pisces, and then I have a trine. I have a trine set up. While Venus and Saturn are conjunct at 12 degrees in Pisces, they are now trining. They are trining Astrology in Cancer. So let's look at that. So let's go and find Astrology. Oops, there she is. There's Astrology. She's kind of like the pit bull, feminine energy again. She won't back down. Some say she doesn't know when to stop. She doesn't know when something's over. This can be a difficult placement, having Astrology in a water sign. Sign of Cancer means I might get stuck in the past. I don't want to release the past. I won't want to let it go. And we can kind of feel, you know how we can drown in our emotions? Astrology might have a tendency to do that here. Here's the thing. Venus, I know it doesn't make sense because this is at 5 degrees, but as the week goes on, 12 degrees, Astrology moves. And then that means Venus and Astrology, along with Saturn, are in a nice trine together. So what I think is beneficial about that is Venus in Pisces. Venus is more about understanding when she's in Pisces, because that's what Pisces does. It says, I want unity. I want to understand what you're going through. I'm sensitive to what you're going through. So Venus trining this can be beneficial. It can be beneficial to the Astrology energy. She may be the person who can come in and say, hey, listen, like she comes over to Astrology and she says, listen, it's actually hurting you to hold on to this. It might be good to just let this go. She may be able to talk to Astrology and say, listen, I want you to be at peace. I want to be able to hear what you have to say, but I also want you to be able to grow from this, like to not be stuck in it, right? Venus can be about the money and support as well, because she's in Pisces energy and Venus is all about the money. So she might bring things that bring comfort to Astrology energy. So that's, again, if we look at the big picture, when we back it up, we're talking about Venus down here in Pisces. She's down here. She gets to 12 degrees, conjunct Saturn, because Saturn's a slow mover, and they start having a conversation with Astrology. And if Astrology is at 12, what that means is if she's moved to 12 degrees here, that means it's Astrology conjunct Sirius as well, which means Saturn and Venus are now trining Sirius. Again, home, family, women, housing, women's issues, rights to my body, birthing. Like we think of bringing a baby into the world, right? We think of the body autonomy. We think of, what does a family look like to me? What is my definition of a family? What is my definition of being a feminine energy and of being a woman? But also the history involved in that. So there may be wounds from the past that Astrology might have gotten stuck in. And hopefully some of this trine energy hopefully will bring a ease when Venus comes along. Hopefully support. Hopefully support. Venus usually is giving energy. She usually likes to come with gifts. She doesn't usually walk in the door without bringing a gift, right? That's Venus. She'll bring a bottle of wine, especially in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is substances, right? She wants to escape. She wants to relax and sleep and chill, read a book, go to the movies, listen to music. Like that's Venus going through Pisces energy. Okay. So what else do we have drawn up here? I know I didn't draw up too much. We're already at the 25th. But before I get to that thing on the 25th, I want you to look at the backdrop on the chart. There's still plenty of energy in Earth. You see that? There's still plenty of energy in Earth over here in Virgo. And we still have plenty of energy over here of Earth in Taurus, right? Now, I do have some lines drawn in Taurus because Jupiter is now at 14 degrees. You see, 1434 to be exact. Jupiter's moving forward. It's not going to retrograde again in Taurus. Okay. So this is already the 18th, 19th, 20th, 25th of March, which means April is next week. In April, Jupiter will be conjunct Uranus with White Moon Lilith. There's already a video up on the channel. I'll link it below. Go watch the video. I might have a part 2 to it. We'll see, but I'll link the video below. I'll put it here somewhere in the video so that you can see it, to see what I had to say about it then. But we think of our values. We think of creature comfort. We think of money, digital money, because it's Uranus and technology. Jupiter's judgments, right? Jupiter can bring gifts as well. For some of you, it's your greater benefic in your chart. By the way, if you don't know what your greater benefic is in your chart, comment to me below. And if you do know, comment to me below what it is. Is it Venus or is it Jupiter for you? Let me know. Going back to the eclipse now, that takes us to the 25th. Yep. So there it is. March 25th. Again, I have a video for it on the channel. I'll link it for you below. Go watch it to see what it's about. But just a real quick run through. It's in relationships. It's Libra energy. This is a South Node eclipse. It is a lunar eclipse. This is not like the April eclipse. This is different. The April eclipse is going to be a North Node eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. This is a lunar eclipse. It's a very different thing, and there's a lot of different things to dissect when you talk about a lunar eclipse. It's going to be at 5 degrees in Libra energy. So there's the moon, there's the 5 degrees, partnerships, business, and professional. All right, so go watch the video. I'll link it if you want to hear the rest of the story about how that works out and what's going to happen. And that's it. That's this week in a nutshell. That's from the 18th to the 25th. You got questions, comment below. I hear Taffy at the door, even though I just let her out of the room. I will see you guys in the next video. If you're still with me, know that I always appreciate your time. Bye-bye.